What's up YouTube and welcome back to my channel. And in today's video I'm going to be doing my schedule preview for the Florida State Seminoles. But if you haven't, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And by doing so, it greatly helps out my channel and it helps me grow as a content creator. Well, Mike Norvell has the Florida State Seminoles trending in the right direction in my opinion. This is his fourth season. And in my opinion, he got the best team out of the state of Florida right now. We all know Billy Napier and Mario Cristobal trying to turn their programs around, respectfully. But Florida State, in my opinion, has the upper hand as in the state of Florida, and he got a great team coming back. Jordan Travis, one of the best quarterbacks in the ACC, coming back. That was huge for him to come back to the team this season, and they got Trey Benson at running back in the backfield. I mean, they got a lot of good players, man. We'll just read off the stats here. Trey Benson at running back. Johnny Wilson coming back, wide receiver. Defensive end, Jared Verse, great player. Going to be a leader on that defense this upcoming season. Fabian Lovett, another great guy. And they also dipped in the transfer portal and got Jaheim Bell from South Carolina, the tight end. So, man, Florida State's going to have a heck of a squad this upcoming season. And the question is going to be, can they win the ACC and get to the ACC championship? It's going to be very interesting. I'm going to read off their schedule and kind of give you a background and see if you guys think that they'll be able to get through their schedule and make it to the ACC championship. Now, the first matchup on September 3rd, big matchup. Playing against LSU again. This time, they're playing in Orlando at a neutral site game. This game last season was close. Yeah, Florida State beat LSU 24-23 in Baton Rouge. Well, it was in New Orleans, I'm sorry. Not Baton Rouge, New Orleans. But still beat LSU in their home state. And LSU's going to look to turn that around this upcoming season. They're playing in Orlando, so another neutral game site, for both teams. This is going to be a tough matchup, in my opinion. Brian Kelly has a heck of a squad coming back, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Got a lot of offensive production coming back. And the defense, even though they got to, do some cleaning up on the back end as far as filling in some holes, which they have done, LSU is going to be a heck of a team. They won the SEC West last season. Kind of fell apart at the end of the season when they won the West, but like taking a tough loss to Texas A&M. But LSU was able to get to the SEC championship, play against the Georgia Bulldogs. Didn't win the game, but able to put up some points on that Georgia defense. So LSU is going to be a heck of a team. But Florida State, in my opinion, going to have the advantage being, in the state of Florida, not at home, but, in Orlando. So it's basically at home. These two teams are going to, bounce off each other, see how good each other team is going to be. And it's going to be a gauge where both teams are at this point in the season, starting off. A huge matchup for both guys. And it's going to be a really, really good, really good game. Could be another close one. Could be won by a field goal. But I would like to think Florida State will have the advantage there. But that remains to be seen. And the next matchup, the Florida State Seminoles play against the Southern Mississippi on September 9th. This should be a name-score game for Florida State. Should win this game big. Potentially getting some guys off the bench. Get them some playing time. Try to build depth. Then the next matchup on September 16th, they play against Boston College. Got to go to Boston College. Got to go to Massachusetts. It's going to be a pretty good game, in my opinion. Boston College, I don't think they're going to have enough to keep up with Florida State. They might score here and there to make it interesting early on. But the Seminoles' last trip to Boston came in 2021. And they got a 3-point victory there. So Boston College could make this a game. But in my opinion, Florida State's just going to have too much talent. And I think it's going to show up, during the later half of the game, in my opinion. If not, right before a half. September 23rd at Clemson. Now, this is going to be an interesting matchup. You know, Clemson is a team where, they got Cade Klubnik coming as the quarterback. And he's going to have, a pretty good offense around him. If I'm not mistaken, Will Shipley's going to be back as well. So um, he's going to have a team. Clemson is going to look like, you know, the team that's going to be the beat in the ACC. But Florida State's got a heck of a team coming this year. Clemson's looking to getting back to the championship. They got to go through Florida State, and it's an early matchup. Early on in September, big game. A lot of people wouldn't pick, Florida State to win this matchup because they haven't done it, the last couple of times. Even though Clemson had a down year last season, uh, Florida State wasn't able to, beat them. So this is going to be an interesting matchup, But Florida State lost last season, 34-28. So it was a close matchup. But a lot of people will say, until Florida State can get over the hump to be able to beat Clemson, they're going to probably have Clemson favored to win this matchup. But I think Florida State, if they were able to get Clemson, I think this will be the year. But we have to tune in and watch this game. This game is going to be at Clemson. So, like I said, last season, Florida State lost at home. They're going on the road this season to play Clemson. Clemson is going to be a team with their hair on fire, trying to get back to that playoff. So this might be Florida State's first loss of the season, but they can some kind of way get over Clemson, boy. Look out, Florida State will be on their way, in my opinion, to win the ACC. Now, October 7th, they play against Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech team got problems right now. I don't know too much about them, but I know they're not really good. If I'm not mistaken, I don't know if it was last season or the season before, but Virginia Tech lost to Old Dominion. And a team like, Virginia Tech shouldn't be losing to Old Dominion, I know that left a bad taste in a lot of Hokie fans' mouth. And they're going to have to, in my opinion, go on the road and play Florida State. It's going to be tough playing at home against the Florida State Seminoles. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. But in my opinion, I think Florida State will definitely be the favorite in that matchup. Now, October 4th, Florida State plays against Syracuse. Syracuse is a team just struggling, man. They're going to struggle, though, in my opinion, to move the ball against Florida State. Florida State defense, like I said, Jared Verse and Fabian Lovett, that defense, in my opinion, going to be humming. I'm not sure what Syracuse has coming back, but I do know for a fact that Syracuse lost bad last season. If I'm not mistaken, they lost, Syracuse lost 38-3 last season. I think Syracuse will be able to score a little bit more points this upcoming season, but they might score a touchdown. But in my opinion, Syracuse is going to lose big in this matchup. But I could be wrong. They could give them a game, but I just see Florida State just having too much firepower, offensively, and then that defense is going to be stingy. So I imagine Florida State's going to win that matchup, maybe by 3 touchdowns, but I could be wrong. October 21st, Florida State plays against Duke. Now, this is going to be a competitive game, I feel like, for Florida State. This might be a challenge since the Clemson game. I don't, think that Florida State will trip up in this matchup, but it could be a game. But Duke, I feel like they're going to give, Florida State a little problem. But at the end of the day, Jordan Travis, I just think he's going to have a heck of a day. The Blue Devils, from what I'm reading, they're going to be returning a lot on offense, but defensively, they're not going to be that good. This will be a game of Florida State flex their muscles offensively, in my opinion. But could be a good matchup. But I think Florida State's going to pull this out. Their next matchup, though, they're playing against Wake Forest on October 28th, and then they got to go to Wake Forest. Now, Wake Forest no longer has Sam Hartman as the quarterback, but Wake Forest, in my opinion, is still going to be really, really good offensively. Could be a matchup for Florida State. In my opinion, besides the Clemson game, Florida State defense is going to be challenged. Uh, Wake Forest got a tricky offense, and they know they can find ways to put points on the board. So, uh, how well would they be able to do that? Without Sam Hartman being there, it's going to be interesting to see. I don't know who they have backing up. It's going to step up for quarterback position for them. But Wake Forest is one of those tricky teams, and they're going to throw everything at Florida State, defense. But I imagine Florida State is going to be the favorite in this matchup. Now, the next matchup is going to be on November 4th at Pittsburgh. Pitt, in my opinion, going to be a team, and the Panthers, man, I was looking at their schedule. They're going to be coming from a gauntlet. At this point in the season, Pitt would have played Wake Forest on October 21st. They would have played against Notre Dame on October 27th. And then they're going to be playing the Florida State Seminoles on November 4th. So this is going to be a huge matchup. You're going to be going against a battle-tested team in Pittsburgh, man. And it's going to be a good game, in my opinion. But Florida State should be the favorites, maybe by 2 touchdowns in the matchup. But watch out for Pitt. Pitt might be able to pull it off. But Florida State, I just feel like in the end they'll be able to pull it out. Next matchup, November 11th versus the Miami Hurricanes. The Hurricanes have seemed to win in, the offseason. They bring in a lot of talent, especially in recruiting. Like I said, though, early on, Miami's a team that's trying to rebuild, get their team back on track. But it's going to be interesting to see. Florida State, like they're starting to gain, the edge in this rivalry as of late. So it's going to be interesting. Last season, Florida State won 45-3, blew Miami out the water. And like I said, Miami's going to be looking to come back and be more competitive. It's going to be interesting, man. I'm not sure how this is going to go. But if I'm not mistaken, Florida State is going to be at home. So going to be an interesting matchup, I think Florida State is going to pull this one out, though. I think Miami's not going to be able to right the ship just yet. They'll have the talent, don't get me wrong. But I think Florida State is going to be able to pull it out. But I could be wrong about this matchup. Maybe Miami finds its groove and come out on top in this matchup. But that's definitely going to be must-watch TV, Florida State versus the Miami Hurricanes. So definitely going to be a good matchup. November 18th, they play against North Alabama. Another game where I feel like Florida State should be just working on maybe technique, building even more depth at this time. Maybe they had some guys, that might be a little beat up at this point. Get some guys in there, to build some depth so to be able to come in and this matchup. But North Alabama shouldn't have be nowhere in potentially being, upsetting Florida State at this point of the season. Florida State just got more talent, and I just don't see North Alabama being any of a challenge to the Florida State Seminoles. And then on November 25th, at Florida State got to go on the road, play against Florida Gators in Gainesville. This is going to be an interesting matchup. Billy Napier is trying to build that program. They brought in Graham Mertz as quarterback. Didn't look too good in the spring game. But Graham Mertz, in my opinion, he's going to be the determining factor, I think, in this matchup against the Florida State Seminoles. In my opinion, Jordan Travis is going to be the better quarterback out the two. But can Graham Mertz, if he's the guy, can he step up in this matchup and win this game? I believe Florida, they might take a huge step forward on their defense. It should be humming, I think, by this time in the season. But can they put up some points? This might be a close matchup though. This rivalry game at the end of the season, you got to throw the stats out the window, because this is going to be an interesting matchup, against the Florida Gators. But this might be a close one, might be a field goal game. But at this point in the season, I think Florida State going to be sitting good, and I think they'll be able to beat the Gators. But you never know. Florida might be find some answers and be able to compete in this matchup. But, like I said, throw the stats out the way. But I picked Florida State to have an advantage in this matchup. Then, of course, if Florida State wins, win their conference, they could potentially get in the playoffs. My opinion, Florida State is a team in the ACC that can be a dark horse. I just don't see any other team in the ACC that will give Florida State problem besides Clemson. The Clemson matchup is going to be interesting. Miami could be a problem. But Pitt is another team that could potentially give Florida State a loss. So Pitt, Clemson, of course. Wake Forest could be sneaky good with the offense. But other than that, Florida State, in my opinion, can have a clear path to the college football playoff. In my opinion, if they get past Clemson and then beat a great team in Pitt, and then can wiggle past that tricky offense of Wake Forest, man, Florida State could definitely be in there. But what do you guys think? Leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. And once again, guys, if you haven't, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And I'll definitely be back with more college football content. Thanks, guys, and roll tide.